the person that you want to be. So I remember hearing a saying once where somebody said that your greatest fantasies and dreams lie right outside your comfort zone, right? So I do like the idea of being comfortable. I think you can be comfortable and successful at the same time, and success makes you even more comfortable. And so it's like a balancing act, right? So there's sometimes where I say, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to be comfortable right now. I just want to chill, relax, and enjoy my life. But then there's sometimes where I say, okay, boys, let's put in the work. Let's make ourselves feel a little awkward for a certain amount of time until we become a little bit more like the man that we want to be, right?
And success makes you
That does
even more
that
comfortable.
make sense? I hope that helps some of you, because I don't think anybody. I don't care what level you're at. There's always a struggle. There's always a process. There's always something that you're like, oh God, like I'm not doing this right. I'm failing constantly. I'm not trying hard enough. Does anybody else go through that? I know I feel it every day. Every day I'm like, dang it, boys, come on, man, you can do better than that. And it's kind of weird, right? And I say I share that mainly because I know that some people may think that I'm a, I guess, relatively successful person, and I've had some touchdowns in my life. I've scored some points. Hopefully that comes with being 53 and, being committed to it for a long time. But believe me, I don't think anybody really has hit that point where they're like, yeah, everything's just great, everything's perfect. Also, the other thing I noticed about running business, if you're trying to run business or trying to do things at a certain level, you're in a constant state of like problem solving, right? So if you were to ask me on any given week about the number of things in my life that went well, I could give you a few, I could give you a decent sized list. But then if you were to say, give me all the things that went badly this week, I'd be like, oh man, this went wrong. And then that went wrong. And this blew up in our face. And we tried to do this and this didn't work. And I'm just going crazy because of that. Like I'm telling you, it can't stop, won't stop. Well, not that I should be quoting Diddy on a Saturday morning, but literally it just keeps going forever. So I just want to encourage you, stay on your grind, keep moving, like develop an internal philosophy of whatever level of excellence you want to be on and commit to that. Like that's like submit and commit to that, right? Because that's what's going to be your shield. I'm telling you. Because if you don't have that, then you can fall into mediocrity very quickly. Because I don't think that America is a country that really breeds the level of excellence that some of us might desire or require to have what we want out of life, right? America is not an excellent country on average, right? We're not excellent when it comes to our health. That's, a lot of people die from preventable diseases because we don't take our health seriously. We eat a lot of garbage. We don't want to exercise a lot of times. We don't believe in necessarily excellence or the discipline for excellence when it comes to our relationships. Divorce rate is super high. People get married. You see it all the time. You go to Shade Room, you'll see. I was talking to my wife about this lady named Tiana Taylor, who is this gorgeous, I mean, just such a pretty, talented woman. And she married this big 6'7" basketball player, Imam Shumpert or something. And they had this beautiful baby, and they would take these pictures on the covers of magazines and stuff like that. And my friend brought it up like a long time ago, and I said, I give it about 2 years, maybe 2 years. And she said, well, why would you say that? They're a beautiful couple. I said, yeah, but being a beautiful couple is not the requirement for having a sturdy marriage. Like a sturdy marriage is grimy, it's hard, it requires a lot of self-reflection. It's very deep. And it ain't about just looking good on the cover of a magazine. It ain't about like how cute you look to the other celebrities at the NBA All-Star game. And that's the reality, right? And I probably sound pessimistic when I talk like that, but I'm just a big believer in the substance. The substance rules the flash. If you ain't got the flash, then I'm sorry, if you ain't got the substance, then who cares about the flash, right? So no disrespect to them. I'm not saying that they're bad people or whatever, but I'm a man who lives in a world where for example, I get confused as to why we got these black Disney princesses that are having babies with rappers. Like, did anybody tell them like you don't like rappers are not pro-family? Rappers are very anti-family. But literally, both of the little Disney girls, the one that was, both of them were like stars and stuff, and both of them got pregnant by these rappers. And I said, "Uh-oh, they're in trouble now." And literally, the relationship was over before the baby was born. So that's those are generational curses. This is you're passing this down to your child, like children that don't have. Has anybody ever gone through what it feels like to be abandoned by your daddy? Does anybody know what that feels like, or to have your daddy, or just not have your daddy's protection and guidance around when you need it? Anybody ever go through that? Anybody know how that feels? How lonely that feels? How painful that is? Right? And so, it's kind it's one of these things that really makes me sad. I get sad. I'm really sad for the kids. I'm sad for the child because I know that children grow up and they start asking questions and they start going through things and then they don't always have what they need. I got lucky. My father was, heroin and stuff and drugs. Heroin's a hell of a drug, and he wasn't there. But I kind of got lucky where I got a good guy to become. He was my stepfather. I always say he's a great man. He wasn't always a good man, but he's a great man. And so he gave me a lot of guidance and a lot of training, and at least came home every day and made sure that we ate every day, stuff like that. And stuff, whatever. He wasn't so good on the whole nurturing thing. That was the thing. His father never told him that he loved him, so he didn't know how to nurture. He just knew how to provide and protect. And that would probably be one of the things that I learned from watching him and saying, okay, I want to nurture and let the kids know they're loved and supported, in addition to providing and protecting, because I think that those masculine things are really important. And I got lucky, right? And so I met my siblings who lived in the house with my biological father, and I didn't get the feeling that he was the kind of father that they needed. I felt like there was a lot of challenges there that they experienced, and my heart goes out to them. If they're watching, I don't want I want to be careful because I don't want them to feel bad. But I was like, I could instantly tell that having this man as your father, as your primary go-to guy, was a huge disappointment. And so I think that when you're talking about black wealth, and that's what we talk about every morning, but you can't talk about black wealth without talking about the black community. You can't talk about black wealth without talking about black culture. You can't talk about black wealth without talking about black family. Like, give me a yes. Let's just re-up, make sure we understand the connection. Give me a yes in the chat so we can confirm that you understand why I'm talking about these things. And so I'm not, so you don't think, well, Dr. Boyce was sitting there, he was hating on Disney princesses that have babies with rappers. No, this is not about the rappers. It's not about Disney. This is not about who's dating who. It's about what wealth looks like and how wealth is tied to legacy. And the thing about legacy that's really tricky about it is that you get lied to about this. People don't tell you that you start making your legacy when you're like 17 years old. Like, literally, the stuff you do when you're 17 is huge for your legacy. If you make the wrong decisions at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you can destroy 100 years of your generational legacy literally in those 2, 3, 4 years. You can. You can. And everybody just sort of lies to these young people. They make them think, oh, you're just young and wild. You can go get hooked on drugs and commit murder and they call them YNs. Anybody seen the YNs? It stands for young niggas. You could be a YN and just act a fool, and then you just make it all up when you get about 35. You just apologize for everything. You start mentoring kids and telling them not to do what you did. And I respect that. I'm not hating on that at all. But I think that the problem, the thing, the key to here's the deal. Let me explain like this. I know I've known people in my life that mentored me whose lives were a complete mess. Some of the older men, that the OGs that I listened to, they would give me great lessons like don't do what I did, stay away from drugs, don't drink, stuff like that. And their lives were a mess. And you know what I figured out? I learned this. Um, I learned this because I'm so smart. I'm super smart. I'm kidding. I learned this because this is common sense. The easiest way to clean up a mess. What's the easiest way to clean up a mess? Somebody put it in the chat. What would you suggest? What's the easiest way to clean up a messy life? If you have a messy, let's say your life done fell apart, your money ain't right, your health ain't right, your relationships are garbage, your kids hate you, you just got out of jail, you're paying child support on 8 babies mamas, you got 4 baby daddies that don't want to help you. Tell me what's the easiest way to clean up a mess? It's to never make the mess in the first place. It's to never make the mess in the first place. There's a saying that literally says that a wise man learns from his mistakes. A wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. A wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. So why do you have to have a messy life if somebody before you already paid the price? Why are you paying twice? So this is what happens when you repeat, when you see a generational curse repeated. That should lead you to do an investigation. You should investigate and say, how did this generational curse happen four times? That's like me going into the store. See, when you make mistakes, you're paying a price. You're paying what I call tuition in the school of life. We all do. We all pay tuition. I got about 1 million in student loans from the school of life. School of life is like, up, boys, we gonna dock you another 50,000 because that was stupid. What's wrong with you? Next time you'll breathe and think about it before you make that decision. So I have overpaid in the school of life for sure. I've made my share of mistakes. But the thing about it is, when you're paying tuition in the school of life, if one person pays, then there should be sort of a transfer of wealth to the next person along, a wealth of knowledge. There should be a transfer that says, okay, I already paid the price. I already went to prison for 10 years, so my job is to make sure that you don't have to pay the price that I paid. I already paid for us, right? So ultimately, if you um if you're talking about pain in the school of life and passing generational curses, they confuse me sometimes because I don't understand why we would pay two, three, four times for the same product. Like if you go into a store and I pay $50 for a shirt, and then I go back in again and I pay another $50 for the same shirt and another $50 for the same shirt. That doesn't make sense. Or if I have the shirt and my brother's the same size as me and I don't need the shirt anymore, he shouldn't have to buy the same shirt. I should give him the shirt that I paid for. So my point is to say that the best way to clean up messes is to never make them in the first place, is to prevention, right? And prevention requires something that we talk about every single morning. Every morning at 10 a.m., we talk about financial consciousness, investing consciousness. And when I talk about investing, usually I'm not even talking about money. You got to graduate to get to the point where you can start talking about the money, because you can't talk about the money without talking about the life. You can't talk about money without talking about culture. You can't talk about money without talking about family. You can't talk about money without talking about health, because health and family and everything else is far more important than money. Literally, if you don't believe me, go to the hospital and go to the cancer unit, and I want you to find a billionaire with stage 4 cancer and ask him, which would you rather have? Would you rather have another $1 billion, or would you rather have your health back? What answer do you think that he's going to give you? You know what the answer is going to be. So let's drill a little bit further into stuff. Before we move on, I want to mention quickly, don't forget we've got the Economic Elevation Summit in Miami. If you want to get together with other wealth builders, build your investment clubs, find your business partners, I'll be there. You can talk to me directly. We can hang out for the weekend in sunny Miami at a really nice hotel. If you want to join us, just go to economicelevationsummit.com. That's economicelevationsummit.com. Also, later on today, the ladies at Fly Nubian Money, they're doing something every week called the Level Up Lounge, where they're bringing in experts that can answer questions that you have about your business, about figuring out how to make your next move, your investing thoughts and decisions, things like that. And this is a benefit of being a member of the Fly Nubian Money Club, run by Tiara Williams. I'll bring Tiara in here one day so she can talk more about it. And they've gathered this amazing crew, probably the best ever that I've ever seen, of black women from all different backgrounds who know so many things about so many things, from real estate to investing to whatever it is, right? Entrepreneurship, all that stuff. Dr. Lene Javette is part of it. My wife, Dr. Alicia, who runs our Black Financial Therapy department, is part of it. We have other people, Constance Carter, who ran the largest black-owned real estate firm in California, and just lots of other people that are in there. Aisha Verzi, just great people. So I'll send you all a link if you want to go join the Level Up Lounge today. Make sure you're on the text list for this class. Text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948, and they will and you'll get that link today. All right. So one thing I want to do is jump in, and I want to show you guys. I put this clip on my Instagram, and I want to talk about it because I think it's interesting, and because it relates to wealth. And it's some old guy. He looks all old and mysterious, but he's giving like these rules of wealth that I think are worth covering, so we can kind of figure out like what this really means. So let me see if I can pull this up. I'm trying to get my Instagram to act right and show me what I need to see. Okay, this is not what I want. Okay, so hold on, give me 1 second, everybody. Let me see if I can tap this button here. All old and mysterious. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that. Wow. Okay, so I can't go to my Instagram now because it's not letting me do that. I was gonna share my screen and it's not letting me let me try one more thing because I want to play this video because I want you guys to see it because there's something to assess here. Here we go. He calls it the reverse psychology of getting rich. And I want to sort of watch this video together and then analyze this. And then in fact actually at some point during class there's like this mafia video I saw where they were given all the rules of the mafia and how the mafia is structured. And I said, this would be great for class because one thing the mafia understands is how to make money, and they also understand how to make money as a group. Which and I've told you all, like when I wrote in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I was explaining how wealth is a gang affiliation, that you have to find your economic gang, your economic group in order to build wealth. If you don't have a group, then it's much harder to build wealth than it is to do it as an individual. So let me play this video here. I don't know who this guy is. He looks like he's made some money. But either way though, I liked what he had to say. It sounded pretty sound. So like, give me a yes in the chat if you can hear this video. So here it goes.
How to get rich? I tell them, reverse psychology. The truth you were taught in school or media, they're a lie. Black is white, and white is black. Here are my 6 rules to get rich with reverse psychology.
Okay, he stopped talking. Why did he stop talking? Okay, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Ah, hold on.
Number 1.
Okay.
Say no to the paycheck. Paycheck makes you poor because they make you a slave mindset, not a master mindset. Number 2. Do not make money. Make business. Money does not make business for you, but business make money for you. Number 3. The best business you will build in bad times, in recession, in bear market, because you can hire and buy for cheap.
Okay, I'm going to stop the video. And the reason I'm going to stop it is because I want to just focus on the first 3, because if we go all the way to number 6, it'll make your head explode. It'll be too much information for one day. I want to do the first 3 because the first 3 literally he dropped gems. Were y'all able to hear that? Let me know if you're able to hear that. Did you give me a yes if you're able to hear that? All right, so so this guy, so the first 3 to me were powerful. And if you couldn't make it out, I see Deshaun says she couldn't make it out. So let me break it down for you. And the first 3 were so powerful. If literally, I kid you not, if every black child in America just understood the first 3 of those rules, then black people would have more wealth than white people on a per capita basis. Like literally, I mean, but then at that point you'd have another set of problems because when you get that much wealth, they want to come and fight you and kill you and blow things up or put you in prison and stuff. So that because that's when you become a real threat. I don't think that we're a real threat. I think that's why they let certain things slide. They're like, yeah, the black community, they're not really true competitors. They're like kind of our little punks, and we just kind of tell them what to do, and they're looking for our validation. So honestly, I don't think that we're seen as a real economic powerhouse. I think that we're seen as a commodity in the sense that they want our money, they want our money, they want our votes mostly, and they want our labor. So we add to the pile, but we don't put up much resistance because we don't typically send our children into the system prepared to gather the wealth. Some of you do, and I can commend you for doing that. I'm interested in us being competitors, not being whatever we've been to this point. Integration made us very subordinate, and I think that was a mistake to some extent. All right, so the first thing he mentions is that paychecks make you poor. Give me a yes or no. Do you agree with this statement that most Americans who are living off their paychecks are not building the wealth that they deserve? Give me a yes if you agree that most Americans getting paychecks are living paycheck to paycheck. They're also not feeling like they are reaching their full economic potential. Give me a yes if you agree with that. Okay, so because every study says this, every study out here pretty much says that millions of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They're on the brink of financial death, financial devastation, and also the paycheck is not built to build wealth. The paycheck gives you enough money to make sure you keep coming back to work every day. And also you're in this impossible, really ridiculously disadvantaged trade where you talk about a trade deficit. That's a hell of a trade deficit because you're literally trading time for money. And you're trading your time of hour, 100,000 hours of your life. Again, over a 50-year working career, you work 40 hours a week, 2,000, which is over 50 weeks, that's 2,000 hours a year. A decade, that's 20,000 hours in a decade. You work 50 years, you're giving 100,000 hours of labor to other people. And you're giving 100,000 hours of labor to people who don't work, who don't give labor back. They're not giving time. Like because a billionaire didn't sell time to make their money. There's not enough time you could work at any wage for the most part and work enough hours, give up enough hours to be a billionaire. They're living off of systems. They're making their money through systems. You're making your money through the simple trade of time for money. And so the paycheck keeps you poor, also because America's a system built in such a way where capitalism, when it's not checked, the people at the very top keep as much of that money for themselves as they can. And so, you try to do things to empower yourself, like build labor unions. They bust up the labor unions. Neither major political party has much of an interest in supporting labor unions. Even companies that are pretty liberal, like Starbucks. Starbucks, liberals love Starbucks, but then when Starbucks employees started to unionize, did anybody see what happened when they tried to form a union at Starbucks? Anybody remember that? How Starbucks responded? They started, acting like rich people. They started union busting and and they fire anybody that looked like they were trying to organize labor, because they know that organized labor is a competitive type of capital, and they don't want anyone controlling the capital other than the capitalists who are running the company, the shareholders, right? They don't want the suppliers to have capital. They don't want the customers to have any capital. They don't want the workers to have capital. So getting capital is the way you win in a world of capitalism. That's why I tell you that the number one thing your child needs, but when they grow up to be economically free, is they need a capital base. If you give them a capital base, they can do whatever they want to do. They're going to be free. There's no like I got to go to work every day because somebody told me to and all that stuff. That goes away. So the paycheck does make you poor because the paycheck is a trickle down. It's trickle down economics. And by the time the fat, greedy capitalists at the top, plural capitalists, finish eating, they give you a couple crumbs. And that's what the paycheck is. It's kind of crumbs, to be honest with you. The second thing he mentions that I thought was really great. Tell this to your kids. You make business, don't make money. Because he said money does not make business, but business makes money. And this is one of the reasons why in the Black Business School we believe in the Black Core of Three. In case you don't know, the Black Core of Three says that Black people, we need to educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black-owned businesses. When you have businesses, you have power. When you have businesses, you have economic flexibility. When you have businesses, you have financial potential. When you have businesses, you have a multitude of ways to adjust to challenging economic circumstances. If you only lean on a paycheck, then you pretty much are subject to the decision making of the people who give you that paycheck, right? So the people who have the ability to feed you are also the ones who have the ability to starve you. So ultimately, the paycheck is okay, but it's really when you're trained on running the business, then you know how to develop scenarios that allow you to get what you need. It doesn't mean you become a full-fledged entrepreneur. That's a big common mistake. A lot of times, when people are first introduced to the things I do, I've made 25,000 different videos over the last 15 years. I'm very consistent with this. I believe in this very deeply. And literally, when it's happened 1,000 times where people see me a couple of times and they think, well, Dr. Boyce believes every Black person should have their own business. No, I've never said everybody should be an entrepreneur. I never said you quit your job and go start a business. I've said everybody should own something. You should own a piece of a business. You should have the ability to create some type of business that allows you to make more money, get tax breaks, things like that. So your business might be a side hustle that makes you an extra 2,000 a month. Your business might be something small you're doing with your family so you can connect together as a family and make a little bit of money. Maybe your business move is something that's done out of necessity, where you lose that job, they cut the DEI program, and then next thing you know, you're out here and you got to feed yourself. So knowing business is beneficial for anybody that wants to make money in America. right? If all you know is paychecks and job applications, then what's happened is you literally hating from outside the club, and you can't even get in, right? Just to quote Chris Brown, remember that song? Look at me now, I'm getting paid, right? You literally are hating from outside the club. You're not even the money club is a space for people that understand business, that understand investing. And so business and investing should be one of the key things that children are taught when they are little. If our children are taught business and investing when they're young, then they just have so much more economic flexibility and potential. Because at the very least, when you know business, you don't just know how to you don't just know how much money you're getting paid. You know where the money's coming from. You understand the process of the money. It's like the difference between someone who only knows how to drive a car versus, or better yet, think of it like this, not even drive a car. Think about it. Imagine you got three types of people. You got a person who only knows how to ride in a car. They don't even know how to drive. They just know if I get a ride, I'm going to get from point A to point B. And then you got person B who's a little bit smarter. They know how to drive a car, right? So they know how to decide. So they have another degree of freedom, so to speak, to use mathematics terms. Degrees of freedom are the different tools you have in order to optimize your situation. It's all the different ways that you can actually make your situation into what you need it to be, right? So if I'm a rider in a car, a passenger in a car, I have to figure out where everybody else is driving and hope that somebody will give me a ride, right? But if I am a driver of a car, then I get to decide where the car is going to go, right? Do you follow me? Okay, so that's another degree of freedom. That's another type of power I have. Then there's another level where I'm the owner of a car. If I'm the owner of a car and I know how to drive, then I can do all three. I get to be the passenger, the driver, and I'm the owner. So I get to decide if the car is ever going to leave the damn driveway in the first place. Do you understand? Because if you're the driver of the car, but you don't own the car, then you really can you if somebody decides you ain't gonna have a car, then you won't have a car. You'll still be sitting at home with your driving skill, hoping that somebody brings a car along that will allow you to get to your destination. You say, dang, I wish if somebody would just give me a car, just give me an opportunity. I could drive that car. How many times have you seen black people who literally sat there frustrated, all the skill in the world, all the degrees, all the credentials, went to school since you were a baby, and sat around and you mad because somebody won't give you the opportunity. Have you how many of y'all seen that? I want you to think about that. Let me know if you're able to if you've ever felt that way. Where you say, man, dang it, if they would just give me the opportunity. James Brown even said that in the song where he said, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Just open the door and I'll get it myself. To some extent, that if you go deeper on that statement, you would actually say, well, who is deciding if the door is going to be open or not? That's the first question you should ask. And then the question should be like, where did the door come from? Like, who built the door? Why is there a door? Why am I going through it? Some people, so, I'm trying to open the door to the land of milk and honey, but there's some people who are born in the middle of the land of milk and they ain't got to open the door. Ain't nobody, and ain't nobody gonna open the door for them. So these are the questions that I always ask and these are economic questions, right? When you're sitting around and you're saying, gosh, dang it, if somebody would just give me an opportunity. I filled out 50 job applications and went on 37 interviews and I didn't get any opportunities. The bigger question is, well, who's creating those opportunities? Who's the decision maker in your life? Who's the decision maker? And because what's happened is that decision maker, that gatekeeper, we talk about gatekeepers a lot, like in entertainment and all that. The gatekeeper is the one that blocks you from getting what you want, with getting what you deserve, realizing your fullest potential. And where financial literacy and economic training come into play is they allow you to cut out the middleman. You cut out the middleman. You say, well, I don't, I'm going to get rid of the gatekeeper and I'm going to get rid of the gate. Now a big part of my struggle as a black man is gone because a lot of my stress was driven by the fact that these gatekeepers are a bunch of racists. These gatekeepers are people that don't want me to succeed. They hating on me. They trying to suppress me. They trying to control me. Well, if you get rid of the gatekeepers and you get rid of the gate, then you're really elevating the joy of the black experience. You're actually making your child's black experience a good one and not one that's full of stress and anxiety, driven by the fact that you can't move without somebody else deciding if they're gonna let you do that. So going back to the car, You got levels to this stuff. You got the driver, you got the passenger who only gets to go where the car is going, and they only get a ride if someone gives them one. And then you say, well, I don't want to be a passenger. I want to be a driver because I want to decide where the car is going to go. So that's what we do. That's what happens. We go to school and we say, I want to be the driver of this institution by being the manager. I want to be the manager of the Burger King or the senior executive vice president at Ford or something, right? And then at that point, you are a driver of a car, but you don't have a car. But if somebody gives you a car, you can drive the hell out of that thing, but you haven't gone to the next level. The next level actually is to be the owner of a car. If you're the owner of a car, then you get to decide if the car is going to even leave the driveway or not. Because the driver has to be subordinate and submissive to the owner. If the owner of the car decides that the driver ain't going nowhere, then the driver ain't going nowhere. And then there's the next level beyond that. There's another level beyond owning the car. What level is that? If you know how cars work and you know the inner workings of a car, maybe you can get the parts and build one. Or maybe if your car fault breaks down, you know how to fix it. See, because here's the thing. Economic systems, just like a car, economic systems break down. Your economic system, your personal economic system that exists in your household could break down. Somebody loses their job, something goes wrong with the business, the markets change, we go into a recession. Economic systems break down. So if you are a mechanic or an engineer and you can design a car, fix a car, and you know your way around the car, and you also know how to own the car, drive the car, ride in the car, then you've converted yourself into becoming what I would consider to be an economic god. Not that you are the real God, the God in you has fully manifested itself. I believe there's God in all of us, and we're made in God's image, right? All that stuff, right? To me, the God in you, the God in me, the God in us is unlocked when we gain that full ability to manifest. We can have a vision and have the ability to craft that vision and the discipline to execute that vision. And then next thing you know, not only am I riding in the car, I'm driving the car and I'm owning the car, but I built the damn car. I built the thing, right? So ultimately, when you're talking about business, people build businesses similar to how they build cars. People own businesses the same way you own a vehicle. Why? Well, because a car is a type of capital. I could use the same analogy with a house, with a farm, with anything. So then you got to go circle back to black children and what are they really taught to do? Are they taught to design and build cars and own cars, or are they taught to ride in a car, or maybe at best become a driver, right? So there's at least four levels to this hierarchy, and we only get introduced to level one. And if you're a good Negro and you go to school and you make good grades, then maybe you get to level two. But if you get to level three, level four, it's like, no, 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 no. Black people don't do that. That's not, you're not allowed to. You don't get to, no, no. We don't even, sometimes not only are we restricted from going to level three and level four, but a lot of us don't even know that level three and level four exist. This is where economic consciousness comes into play. Consciousness is where you're at least aware of the structure of the environment within which you exist. You walk, I can't tell you how many people I've seen who are broke as hell, struggling financially, and can't even explain why. They can tell you that the job ain't paying or that the opportunities aren't there, but they don't really know. They don't know what's actually happening. They don't know the inner workings of the very system within which they're trying to survive. That's a scary place to be. That's really hard. Right? That's really hard. So I believe, because I care about you and I care about your kids and your grandkids, I believe that the best thing we can do for those children is make sure those babies understand the whole system. They understand the hierarchies, they understand all of it, and they know how to navigate and choose where they want to fit into the system. Some people don't really want to, some people don't want to drive. They're like, I just ride in the car, I'll be okay. And that's okay as long as it's your decision and you're not limited to simply being a passenger in the car, right? But if it's your decision, some people don't want to drive. They're like, no, just give me a ride. I'll be all right. So just tell me what to do every day. I'll be okay, right? And then some people, maybe they just want to drive the car. They don't want to worry about owning the car. Ownership, here's the thing, ownership it's glorified. We fantasize about owning things. We see the power of the owner, but ownership is a type of responsibility. Anybody that owns a car knows what it feels like. You got a car note and you got to maintain the car and stuff like that, right? So ownership isn't for everybody. Everybody don't want to necessarily own a whole lot of stuff. I get it, right? And then when you go to the next level of actually designing and building something, that's hard to do. It takes a lot of skill, takes a lot of discipline and commitment, takes some capital. That's when you got real gangster with it, right? Where literally if you think about like a source of capital, a business, a farm, or whatever it is, there's a lot of work that goes into building and developing things. But the thing is, we need people that are gonna build these things, right? We need these people in our community. I get sick and tired. I talked to the yesterday. I talked to a smart man. This brother, he's a smart brother. And I enjoy speaking to him. And his son is one of the more famous NFL players, and he's about the same age, and we had a lot in common. And one of the things that we talked about was we said, man, it's so frustrating to live in a world where so many of our people are stuck with just getting whatever somebody decides they're going to give us. That we don't have enough people ready to do the heavy lifting required to develop institutions that we actually run and control. To really just deal with the amount of work required, the amount of discipline required, the long-term commitment. Like the NFL, we have a lot of people that are in the NFL, but not many people that are in the NFL are willing to do the amount of work that was required to build the NFL. Because that was pretty much building the modern NFL was a 100-year project. That was multi-generational. You had to have a lot of vision to commit to something like that, And but somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And so I really like talking to him. His son makes a lot of money and his son's friends make a lot of money. And I said, well, hey, if you want to get you and your son and his friends to come talk to me, I'll be happy to share my perspective free of charge. Like I'd love to see them have the vision to come along with all that wealth, because that's the trap of the young black athlete, is that they are getting in a ridiculous amount of money. They're the highest paid people in the entire black community in many cases, but yet they have the least amount of vision because they're only 21 or 22 or 23 years old. And because as a community we've lost our appreciation and respect for things like black fatherhood, we don't have mentors for some of these guys. So you'll see some guy that has $100 million contract that most people would dream about, and he wastes all that money in the strip club because his greatest mentor is the rapper that he sees on TV, who's anti-family, anti-wealth, and really anti-good decision making, right? So he's learning destructive habits, and there's nothing more devastating than to see a powerful person who is working extremely hard to destroy himself and destroy the people around him, right? So really, with great power does come a great responsibility, and I think when you're young, it's really hard to develop that without having some older guy that you respect who can slap you upside your head and say, "What are you doing? You're wasting your life. You're gonna regret this." So a lot of times I'll see a lot of guys that are maybe 35, 40, 45 years old who had all that money, who had all that opportunity, and they don't start gaining perspective and consciousness of what they had until 20 years after it's gone, and then the cycle just continues, right? So this is again why you can't disconnect wealth from culture, because if the black community had a different culture, then our wealth would be probably about $5 to $10 trillion more than what it is right now. So we got to develop the culture. If you develop the culture, then the wealth ecosystems will naturally follow, because good culture includes things like self-love. Good culture includes things like love for family. Good culture includes things like commitment to education. Good culture includes things like delayed gratification. Good culture includes things like smart financial decision making, right? Good culture includes things like wealth preservation, right? So if you develop good culture, then you will develop great wealth. Why? Just like in a sport. If you have a culture of winning, the culture of winning means we work a little bit harder. Well, the culture of winning means we're a little bit more disciplined than the opposition. A culture of winning means we set high standards for ourselves, right? If you have a winning culture, then what will happen is you will start winning, and the winning doesn't define who you are. The winning is simply a symptom of the culture. So black wealth does not define who we are and what we're worth. How much money you have in your pocket doesn't tell me what kind of a human being you are. The wealth is a symptom of a deeper problem. And the goal of what we do in the Black Business School is I don't want to know about the symptom. I know the symptom. I've studied the symptom. I need to know what the core issue is. Where's the illness? Where's the cancer? Where's the problem inside the body that's causing these symptoms to emerge, right? And so many people only look at the symptoms and they're not looking at the root cause. And that's why they cannot solve the damn equation. They cannot solve the problem because they're like the doctor that only looks at the fact that you have a cough and they want to give you a cough drop instead of realizing that the reason you're coughing is because you're dying from cancer or you got AIDS or something, right? So it's crazy to me that we don't have these deeper conversations, and I think it's because we don't really necessarily have a deep society. I don't. I think that we need surgery. We don't need a cough drop. You need surgery. You need study on a molecular level. You need DNA realignment procedures, right? That's what it is. Okay, so anyway, one thing I want to mention, by the way, is if you're doing stock options with us, we're gonna meet for our stock options income training on Monday night at 8:30. That's Prime. Prime stands for Passive Recurring Income Machine. I also created something that I think is kind of cool. I sent the text out to you guys yesterday about the meeting coming up. But we also have, and also today you'll get another message from me about something. I call them FCAPs, fast cash action plans, and this is something that's a step up from the moneymaker grid. Where basically what I do is I give you a step-by-step process on something you can implement, a strategy you can implement that will put money into your account on Monday. This really works. These are things I'm actually doing. I see the real money. I like things that are real. I don't like hypotheticals and theoreticals. I like things that are actually real because your bills are real. And so this is actually real money if you have a capital base to invest, stuff like that. So anyway, if you want to join us in the Prime program, if you want to text the word options to the number 87948 if you're interested in stock options. So if you text options to 87948, then I'll send you information. Also, we do have those stock options flashcards for children that'll be coming out in early May. So I'll go ahead and let you guys know when those are ready because I think all of our kids should learn about things like stock options early and stuff like that so that they can get ahead of the curve. And also later on today, the Fly Newbie Money Club is doing the Level Up Lounge, and everybody that's in this class can get an invitation to the Level Up Lounge. So make sure you're on the text list for this class. If you can get on the text list by texting the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948. Now, one other thing that I want to mention that this guy said in the video that I thought was really powerful that I think you should pay attention to is so he mentioned that the paycheck will keep you poor. He mentioned that you don't want to make money, you want to make business. And there was in fact, I remember once when I was on the Breakfast Club, I heard Charlemagne say that a lot of people can't see an opportunity unless there's a paycheck attached. And I agreed with that. I was like, yeah, that's a great point. I like the way you said that. And so the other piece to that, last piece to that, is that he mentioned on the video, the guy just mentioned that a lot of your best investments are made during, not during the good times, they're made during the bad times. And that contrarian mindset, meaning that you're thinking differently from everyone else, is really, really important when it comes to wealth building. In fact, Warren Buffett always says you want to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. And so when, like when Nvidia shot up and went crazy, I owned Nvidia stock when it was really cheap, like it's over $100 a share. I think I bought it when it was less than $10 a share because it really wasn't any sort of unique insight. It was because my son he played video games and he said Nvidia is the company that makes the chips for my video games. I think you should buy it. And because I was like looking for something for us to talk about, because I'm the bonus dad. When you're the bonus dad and you're kind of putting the family together in that way, you got to connect to the kids. You have to form a genuine connection over time. It was the most challenging thing I ever did, but I'm really proud to say that he and I talk every day, and me and the kids have a great connection. So with that said, I bought the Nvidia stock because of that. Now, here's the thing: when Nvidia shot up and went crazy, I didn't buy any more. I was like, oh, well, I don't want to touch that stock now. That stock's too hot because it's good. There's a better chance of it going down than the odds of it continuing to go up. Sometimes it keeps going up, but a lot of times it goes down. So a lot of people like to invest when things are good. That's my point. They get excited about investing when everything is wonderful and great and beautiful. Um, and that's not really the best. That's not really when the people really make their money. The people that make their money are people that really go hard when times are grimy. They're the ones who have the stomach to go in and buy your stock when the price is plummeted by 40% and you're scared to death and you're trying to sell it. So they're like, "Oh, I'll buy it. I'll do you a favor and buy it from you." There was a movie, Twister. Anybody seen Twister about the tornadoes and stuff? Well, they did a remake of that movie Twister, and it wasn't as good as the original. But then again, maybe I'm just nostalgic. I think the 1990s were the greatest decade ever, but that's what all old people are probably going to say. And I watched the new Twister, and I fell asleep twice, and it's really been hard to get through. But there was one part where there was a company that literally would go and track the tornadoes just so they could go into the towns where the tornadoes hit, and they would offer people cash money, a check to buy their property right after the tornado. And for obvious reasons, they accused the company of exploiting people in their most vulnerable moments, which that's definitely a clear interpretation of what they were doing. But they position it as like, no, no, we're helping people. We're helping them when they're struggling. We're coming through and so yeah, but it's like it's a deal with the devil. The devil's like, I got what you need, but I'm gonna take what I want, right? So the devil's kind of like this, like, hey, I can make you a movie star, but you got to come to the Diddy party, and don't worry, don't bring your own baby oil. We got plenty for you. So that's the trade-off, right? So ultimately, when you're talking about investing, you have to realize that generally speaking, the best investments are typically made during the tough times. And also, in fact, right now there is a very legitimate accusation that the Trump administration allowed the stock markets to plummet so they could go buy a bunch of stock and make money later. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I can say that it was an interesting scenario to see a situation that I've never seen where one guy's decision, one guy's statements can literally create or destroy $1 trillion in economic value just like that. Like that's insane. That's absolutely insane. And that's a lot of power. He's got that Thanos power. Like he can snap his fingers and make half the universe disappear now. And that's a lot of power to put in the hands of somebody that could be diagnosed as a narcissist. Right? I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing, but that's the world we live in. I can't change it. I can only tell you how to survive in it. So long story short, those long-term investments are absolutely positively the ones that tend to work the most, and those investments tend to be made during tough times. A lot of people were made into millionaires and billionaires during the Great Depression, or ultimately becoming billionaire families. I don't know how many billionaires they had during the Great Depression, but ultimately a lot of wealth was created during the Great Depression. So don't let anybody make you think that everybody was broke, everybody was poor, everybody was suffering. No, everybody wasn't suffering. Some people actually were able to do better during tough economic times than they could actually when times were good. So anyway, that's it, guys. I'm done for today. I hope this was helpful to you. And again, we're going to meet tomorrow. We meet every single day, 7 days a week at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to join us, make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to the phone number 87948. Write that down. Text morning to 87948. If you live overseas, you can just go to drboyceelevate.com and you can join through drboyceelevate.com. Also, later on, I'll send you an invitation. Andre C. Hatchett, who's a really great guy. He's one of the best experts I know at making money as a mobile notary. And so Andre does study sessions every Sunday on how to make money as a mobile notary, where you go and people sign the documents and you make money that way. And because we have an interest in putting money in your pocket and showing you where the money is, you'll get an invitation to join that. That'll be on Sunday. Dr. Alicia does her mental health Mondays and stuff like that. So there's lots of stuff here in the Black Business School for you. So you expect to hear from me via text today and pretty much every day, because I believe that what we're doing, our mission is big. Our job is massive, and it's very, very important, and we're going to do it. We will get this job done, and that requires us to be in here every day. So I'm going to lead by example, right? To whatever extent that I'm a leader in this space. And that means you'll see me in here every day, 7 days a week, because racism doesn't take a break, and neither does Black excellence. Black excellence, to me, defeats racism every single time. So I'm not worried about what other folks are doing. I'm thinking about what we're doing, and what we're going to do is we're going to do our best. So God bless you. Have a great day.